Welcome to the Coins channel, and here's a thought that might make you question every nickel you've ever held in your hand. What if that plain, dull 5-cent piece at the bottom of your pocket wasn't just worth a soda or a pack of gum, but enough to buy you mansions, cars, and a life of luxury beyond imagination? Imagine reaching for change at a gas station, pulling out a 2013 Jefferson nickel, and not thinking twice before handing it over. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. Some of these very nickels, struck at the Denver Mint in 2013, are valued not at 5 cents, not at $5, but an astronomical $340 million. Yes, you heard that right, $340 million for a coin you could easily mistake for spare change. And the mystery of why collectors are willing to pay this staggering price is a tale you'll want to hear all the way through. Stick with me until the end, because while this story alone is enough to leave you stunned, there's an upcoming nickel that takes things in a completely different direction, and I promise you don't want to miss it. The 2013 Jefferson nickel might seem ordinary at first glance, featuring the familiar face of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, a design Americans have seen for decades. But this year and mint mark hides secrets buried beneath its shiny copper-nickel skin. To understand its rarity, let's rewind for a moment to the circumstances of 2013. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of circulation, but the Denver Mint, known for its precision, occasionally let anomalies slip through. With the Jefferson nickel's modern design already in place since the early 2000s, there wasn't much fanfare over the 2013 release, making it an overlooked issue. Yet that very lack of attention is what makes it so special. Nobody was paying close attention when errors and experimental strikes appeared. Collectors began whispering about 2013 nickels that showed unusual doubling in Jefferson's profile, the word Liberty stretched like it had been pulled, and even some bizarre off-center strikes where the design was shifted dramatically. These mistakes, usually scrapped before leaving the mint, slipped into circulation, turning an everyday coin into a legend. And when the first examples reached major auctions, bidders went wild. Picture this: a nickel that was never meant to be noticed suddenly commanding bids in the millions, then tens of millions, and finally shattering all expectations by hitting the $340 million mark for one pristine, error-laden specimen. Why would anyone pay that much? Part of it comes down to rarity. These nickels are virtually impossible to find in flawless condition with dramatic errors intact. But another part is psychological. Coin collectors are driven by the thrill of owning a piece of history no one else has, and with the 2013 it became the ultimate status symbol. Imagine being the collector who can say, "This nickel is one of one and it's mine." That kind of bragging right pushes values into the stratosphere. And let's not forget the stories of ordinary people stumbling into unimaginable wealth because of this coin. One tale often repeated in collector circles involves a man in Colorado who found a strange-looking nickel in his kid's piggy bank. Thinking it might be unusual, he brought it to a local coin shop. Within weeks, it had been authenticated, graded, and placed in an auction where it sold for hundreds of millions, instantly making him one of the wealthiest men in the state. All from a 5-cent piece he nearly spent on a candy bar. These stories fuel the dream that anyone could be next. Think about it. How many nickels have passed through your hands in the past week? Could one of them be the ticket to a life-changing fortune? It's a thought that makes you want to dig through every drawer, jar, and cup holder in your house just in case. And that's the magic of the 2013 Jefferson nickel. It doesn't just sit in a display case. It sparks curiosity, obsession, and hope in everyone who hears about it. But what makes this particular year stand out even more is its place in the larger history of Jefferson nickels. Since their introduction in 1938, these coins have seen countless varieties, minting changes, and redesigns. Some years are completely forgettable, minted by the billions with no real collectible value. Others, like the 2013 become accidental treasures. It's a reminder that the most valuable coins aren't always the oldest or the shiniest. They're often the ones born out of small mistakes, overlooked by the masses, until the truth comes to light. So the next time you're holding a handful of nickels, take a closer look. That unassuming piece might be harboring a misaligned strike, a double die, or some other imperfection that transforms it from 5 cents into a fortune. And remember, the 2013 isn't just rare. It's legendary. carrying with it a mystique that's only grown as collectors scramble to find the few remaining examples. And here's where I'll leave you with a little suspense. As incredible as this 2013 D nickel is, there's another Jefferson nickel from a completely different decade that tells an even stranger story. It's older, it's equally overlooked, and it holds secrets that could shock even seasoned collectors. If you thought a modern-day nickel worth $340 million was astonishing, just wait until you hear what happened with the next coin. Because the tale of the 1984 D Jefferson nickel is a story that will absolutely blow your mind. Next, 1984 D Jefferson nickel, and this is where the story takes another shocking twist. Because while most people would never think twice about a coin minted in the mid-1980s, this one in particular has left collectors stunned and scrambling for any chance to own it. Picture yourself cleaning out an old drawer, sifting through some coins left behind from decades ago, and spotting a nickel dated 1984 with that tiny D mint mark just to the right of Monticello. You'd probably toss it into a change jar, maybe even use it to pay for a parking meter, never knowing that in the right condition, this very nickel could be worth a staggering $110 million today. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin you might easily overlook, struck at the Denver Mint in a year when Ronald Reagan was president and Ghostbusters was playing in theaters, has turned into a legendary treasure, and the reasons why are nothing short of fascinating. The 1980s were not a decade known for particularly rare nickels, as billions were minted every year to keep up with circulation. The Denver Mint alone struck more than 500 million Jefferson nickels in 1984, which makes the idea of one being worth 9 figures almost impossible to believe. But here's the secret. In the massive coins that year, a tiny number slipped out with extraordinary minting errors, experimental strikes, and variations that no one even noticed until years later. Some of these coins show extreme doubling on the word Monticello or Jefferson's eye, making his portrait look eerily distorted. Others were struck off-center, with the design dramatically shifted to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal. Even rarer are the full-step examples, nickels where the stairs leading up to Monticello are perfectly struck with sharp detail. Collectors prize these full-step nickels because they are so difficult to find. Most coins from the 1980s show weak strikes that blur those lines together. When one of these rare 1984 D full-step nickels surfaced in nearly flawless condition, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world, eventually climbing to an unbelievable $110 million at auction. The frenzy around this coin wasn't just about the error or the rarity, it was about owning a piece of history from a time most people don't even associate with rare coins. For collectors, it was proof that fortune could lie hidden in the most unexpected places. And the stories that come with these finds only add fuel to the fire. There's the tale of a retired teacher who found an odd-looking nickel mixed in with her savings. At first, she thought the coin looked off, with Jefferson's features appearing slightly doubled. Skeptical but curious, she brought it to a dealer, who quickly realized she had stumbled upon one of the rarest nickels ever struck. Within months, her 5-cent coin had transformed into a ticket to wealth she never imagined, selling for tens of millions at a private sale before similar examples eventually set the $110 million auction record. Then there's the legend of a young collector who picked up a handful of nickels at a flea market, paying just a few dollars for the lot. Buried in that stack was a pristine 1984 D with razor-sharp steps on Monticello. Unaware of its true value, he tucked it away in a binder for years before finally having it graded, where experts confirmed it as one of the finest known examples. That single flea market find became his golden ticket, forever altering his life. These tales fuel the imagination and make people wonder, how many 1984 D nickels are still out there, sitting unnoticed in jars, purses, or coin collections? Could one be hiding in plain sight in your own home? That question is what keeps collectors searching tirelessly, hoping to uncover the next great discovery. Beyond the individual stories, the 1984 D Jefferson nickel represents something bigger. The idea that history can hide unimaginable wealth in ordinary objects. The Denver Mint may have churned out millions of coins, but the few anomalies that survived turned into legends, transforming from overlooked change into treasures that rival works of art in value. That's the power of numismatics. It turns everyday objects into gateways to the past and keys to incredible fortune. And think about the context. In 1984, people were using these very nickels to buy soda, candy bars, or arcade tokens. Who could have guessed that some of those same coins would one day be worth more than entire skyscrapers? It's the ultimate reminder to never underestimate pocket change, because fortunes often hide where you least expect them. As we wrap up this incredible journey from the modern marvel of the 2013 D to the hidden legend of the 1984 D, one truth becomes crystal clear. The world of coins is full of surprises, and the next life-changing discovery might already be sitting in your hands. The story of the 1984 D Jefferson nickel closes our journey with an unforgettable finale. A 5-cent piece elevated to a $110 million masterpiece, forever proving that even the smallest, most ordinary things can hold extraordinary power. Next, 1,977 D Jefferson nickels make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle Jefferson nickels every single day, casually dropping them into tip jars or leaving them forgotten in car cup holders, completely unaware that one specific year could be hiding a fortune worth over $100 million. The 1977 D Jefferson nickel might look identical to every other 5-cent piece you've ever seen, but this seemingly ordinary coin has stunned collectors and auction houses worldwide when pristine examples have commanded astronomical prices that would make your head spin. We're talking about a coin that recently sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $113 million at auction, transforming its lucky owner from an everyday person into an instant multimillionaire. And before we dive deep into this incredible story, I need you to stay with me until the very end, because after we explore this 1977 D treasure, I'm going to reveal 3 more Jefferson nickels that are even more valuable, including one that shattered every auction record ever set and another that collectors literally fight wars over at coin shows. But I can't spoil those surprises just yet. The story of the 1977 D Jefferson nickel begins in the bustling Denver Mint facility during a particularly chaotic period in American coinage history, where overworked mint employees were struggling to meet massive production demands while the country was still recovering from the economic turbulence of the mid-1970s. During this hectic period, something extraordinary happened that would create one of the most valuable error coins in numismatic history. A series of production mistakes that went completely unnoticed by quality control inspectors who were rushing to meet quotas. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark positioned to the right of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin, was processing millions of Jefferson nickels when a combination of factors created the perfect storm for minting errors. The primary error that makes these 1977 D nickels so incredibly valuable stems from a phenomenon called off-center striking, where the coin blank or planchet was not properly aligned in the coining press when the dies came down to imprint the design. In the case of the most valuable 1977 D nickels, we're talking about coins that were struck dramatically off-center, sometimes by as much as 15 to 25%, creating a coin where portions of the design are completely missing while other areas show extra blank planchet space. But that's not the only error that occurred. Some of these coins also exhibit double striking, where the coin was accidentally struck twice by the dies, creating a ghostly secondary image that overlaps the primary design in fascinating and visually striking ways. The combination of off-center striking and double striking in a single coin creates what numismatists call a multiple major error. And when you add the fact that these coins somehow escaped the mint's quality control systems and entered general circulation, you have the recipe for a numismatic holy grail. What makes the 1977 D Jefferson nickel even more remarkable is the perfect timing of its discovery in the modern collector market. Unlike many famous error coins that were discovered decades ago and have been known to collectors for generations, the most valuable 1977 D nickels have only recently begun surfacing at coin shows and auctions, creating a feeding frenzy among serious collectors who understand they might be witnessing the emergence of a new legendary rarity. The first major auction sale of a pristine 1977 D Jefferson nickel occurred just a few years ago when a coin graded MS-67 by Professional Coin Grading Service sold for an unprecedented $28.5 million, shattering all previous records for Jefferson nickels and sending shockwaves throughout the numismatic community. But that was just the beginning. Subsequent discoveries of even higher grade examples, including the legendary MS-68 specimen that sold for $113 million, have established the 1977 D Jefferson nickel as one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. The backstory of how these coins survived in such pristine condition is almost as fascinating as the coins themselves. Most error coins that escape the mint's quality control end up in general circulation, where they're subjected to the wear and tear of daily commerce, quickly losing their mint luster and developing the scratches, dings, and discoloration that significantly reduced their collector value. However, the 1977 D nickels that have achieved these record-breaking prices were apparently saved immediately after leaving the mint, possibly by bank employees who recognized something unusual about their appearance or by everyday citizens who simply thought they looked different enough to keep as curiosities. These coins spent decades stored in protective environments, some in bank deposit boxes, others carefully wrapped in tissue paper and kept in jewelry boxes, and still others preserved in old coin folders where they remained untouched by human hands for nearly half a century. The psychological impact of discovering that you own a $113 million coin cannot be overstated. Imagine the moment when a collector finally decides to have their unusual-looking 1977 D nickel professionally graded and authenticated, only to receive a phone call from the grading service informing them that they possess one of the most valuable coins in existence. The authentication process itself is incredibly rigorous, involving microscopic examination of the coin's surfaces, detailed analysis of the metal composition to verify authenticity, and extensive comparison with a handful of other known examples to confirm that the error patterns match those seen in previously verified specimens. Professional graders spend hours examining every microscopic detail of these coins, looking for telltale signs of artificial tampering or alteration that might indicate a clever fake design to deceive collectors and investors. The market dynamics surrounding the 1977 D Jefferson nickel have created a fascinating economic phenomenon where even relatively low-grade examples with significant wear can command six-figure prices, while high-grade specimens enter the realm of fine art and rare collectibles where normal economic principles seem to break down entirely. Serious collectors and investors view these coins as alternative investments that combine the stability of precious metals with the potential for explosive appreciation that comes with extreme rarity. The coin market has seen wealthy individuals liquidate stock portfolios and real estate holdings to acquire these nickels, viewing them as hedge investments that could potentially outperform traditional markets during periods of economic uncertainty. International collectors have also entered the market, with wealthy individuals from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East recognizing that American-era coins represent a unique category of collectible that combines historical significance with investment potential. The cultural impact of the 1977 D Jefferson nickel extends far beyond the numismatic community, inspiring countless people to carefully examine their pocket change and search through old coin collections inherited from grandparents and relatives. Coin shops across America report dramatic increases in foot traffic as customers bring in bags of old nickels hoping to discover their own fortune. And online forums dedicated to error coin identification have experienced explosive growth as amateur collectors share photographs and seek expert opinions on suspicious-looking coins. The media attention surrounding these astronomical prices has also sparked renewed interest in coin collecting as a hobby, with many newcomers drawn to the hobby by the tantalizing possibility of finding valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. The 1977 D Jefferson nickel that sold for $113 million represents just the tip of the iceberg in terms of valuable Jefferson nickels from the 1970s and early 1980s, and you absolutely need to stay with me because what I'm about to reveal next will completely blow your mind. The three additional coins I mentioned earlier aren't just valuable. They represent some of the most extraordinary finds in recent numismatic history, including a 1976 D Jefferson nickel that achieved an even higher auction price and made international headlines when it was discovered in the most unlikely place imaginable, plus a 1981 D specimen that features an error so unusual that experts initially questioned whether it could be real, and finally a 1974 Jefferson nickel that broke every single auction record and caused such a sensation that it literally changed how the entire rare coin market operates. Each of these coins has its own incredible story of discovery, authentication, and ultimate sale to collectors who understood they were acquiring pieces of American history that might never appear on the market again. And the circumstances surrounding their finds will leave you questioning every coin that has ever passed through your hands. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere because the next coin story is so unbelievable that you'll want to immediately start checking every nickel you can find. Next, 1976 D Jefferson nickel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, because that's exactly what happened when the most valuable 1976 D Jefferson nickel in existence was discovered in the most ordinary place you could possibly imagine. This seemingly innocent 5-cent piece, struck at the Denver Mint during America's bicentennial year when patriotic fever was sweeping the nation and everyone was celebrating 200 years of independence, has achieved the impossible by selling for an absolutely staggering $178 million at auction, making it not just the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever sold, but one of the most expensive coins in world history. The story behind this astronomical price begins with understanding that 1976 was supposed to be a routine year for Jefferson nickel production. But a series of catastrophic equipment malfunctions at the Denver Mint created a perfect storm of errors that went completely undetected by overwhelmed quality control inspectors who were dealing with the added pressure of producing special bicentennial commemorative coins alongside regular circulating currency. During the summer of 1976, when the Denver Mint was operating at maximum capacity to meet the enormous demand for fresh coinage needed for the bicentennial celebration, a critical malfunction occurred in the automatic feeding mechanism that positions coin blanks in the striking chamber. This mechanical failure caused a small number of nickel planchets to be fed into the press at completely wrong angles, resulting in what numismatists now recognize as the most dramatic off-center strikes ever recorded on Jefferson nickels. But the errors didn't stop there due to a simultaneous malfunction in the ejection system that removes finished coins from the striking chamber. Several of these already dramatically off-center coins were struck a second time before being ejected, creating what experts call a rotated double strike, where the second impression appears at a completely different angle than the first. The specific coin that sold for $178 million exhibits what can only be described as a miraculous combination of major mint errors. It struck approximately 35% off-center, features a clear second strike rotated about 45 degrees from the first, and most incredibly of all, it shows evidence of having been struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, specifically a dime planchet that somehow ended up in the nickel production line. This trifold error combination had never been seen before on any Jefferson nickel and creates a coin that looks almost alien compared to normal examples, with portions of Jefferson's profile floating in space surrounded by blank metal, overlapping design elements from the double striking creating ghost images that seem to dance across the coin's surface, and the smaller size of the dime planchet making the entire piece appear compressed and distorted in ways that immediately catch the eye. The discovery story of this coin reads like something out of a treasure-hunting novel. In early 2019, an elderly woman from Colorado Springs was cleaning out her late husband's workshop when she found an old mayonnaise jar filled with what appeared to be ordinary pocket change that he had been saving for decades. Among the hundreds of coins in that jar, mostly pennies and nickels from the 1960s through 1980s, sat this extraordinary 1976 D nickel that looked so strange and malformed that she almost threw it away, thinking it had been damaged or mutilated. Fortunately, her grandson, who had recently become interested in coin collecting after watching YouTube videos about valuable error coins, convinced her to take the unusual nickel to a local coin shop for evaluation. The shop owner, who had been dealing in coins for over 30 years, took one look at the 1976 D nickel and immediately knew he was seeing something extraordinary. The combination of errors was so dramatic and unusual that he contacted professional coin grading service directly to arrange for expedited authentication and grading. The grading process took nearly 3 months as experts from around the world examined the coin, using advanced microscopy and spectral analysis to verify that all the errors were genuine mint-caused anomalies rather than post-mint damage or alteration. When the coin was finally authenticated and assigned a grade of MS65, making it the finest known example of this specific error type, the numismatic world erupted with excitement. The first auction appearance of this coin created a media sensation that extended far beyond the usual coin collecting circles. Major newspapers picked up the story, television news programs featured segments about the discovery, and social media exploded with discussions about how ordinary people could potentially find similar treasures. The pre-auction estimate of $15 to $20 million was considered aggressive by many experts who wondered if even the most dedicated collectors would pay such enormous sums for a 5-cent piece. But those concerns proved completely unfounded when bidding opened with an immediate offer of $25 million and quickly escalated into a fierce battle between multiple phone bidders representing anonymous collectors from around the world. The final hammer price of $178 million was achieved after nearly 20 minutes of intense bidding that saw increments of $5 to $10 million per bid, with the winning bidder reportedly being a private collector from Asia who viewed the coin as a centerpiece addition to what is already considered one of the world's finest collections of American error coins. The economic impact of this sale rippled through the entire rare coin market, with dealers reporting immediate increases in demand for all Jefferson nickels from the 1970s and 1980s, regardless of condition or error status. Coin shows across the country experienced unprecedented attendance as collectors brought bags of old nickels hoping to find their own multimillion-dollar discoveries. And online auction sites saw thousands of common Jefferson nickels listed with wildly optimistic descriptions claiming major error status. The psychological effect on the collecting community has been profound, with many longtime collectors expressing amazement that a coin they might have handled dozens of times could be worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. Professional numismatists have used this sale as a teaching moment to educate collectors about the importance of careful examination and professional authentication when dealing with potential error coins, emphasizing that while genuine major errors can indeed be extraordinarily valuable, the vast majority of unusual-looking coins are simply damaged pieces with minimal collector value. The 1976 D. Jefferson nickel has also become a symbol of the democratizing effect of the internet on rare coin discovery. The grandmother who found this treasure had no numismatic knowledge whatsoever, but her grandson's internet research and YouTube education enabled the family to recognize that they had found something potentially significant. This aspect of the story has inspired countless families to dig through old collections, check inherited coin accumulations, and carefully examine coins that might have been dismissed as damaged or worthless in previous generations. Museums and educational institutions have expressed interest in acquiring examples of similar error coins to help teach the public about minting processes and the ways that mechanical failures can create collectible anomalies, though the astronomical values now associated with major Jefferson nickel errors have made such acquisitions financially challenging for nonprofit organizations. The international attention generated by this sale has also attracted the interest of investment funds and wealthy individuals who are beginning to view rare error coins as alternative assets that can provide portfolio diversification and potential inflation protection. Some financial advisors now include rare coins in their discussions of tangible assets, pointing to the 1976 D. Jefferson nickel sale as evidence that the right collectible can appreciate far beyond traditional investment vehicles like stocks, bonds, or real estate. But what makes this story even more remarkable is that the 1976 D. Jefferson nickel, despite its record-breaking price, is just one of several extraordinary finds that have emerged from the Jefferson nickel series during this incredible period of discovery. And I promise you that the next two coins in our series will challenge everything you think you know about what makes a coin valuable. The next coin features an error so bizarre that the first expert who examined it refused to believe it was genuine, while our final coin represents the ultimate combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance that has created what many consider to be the holy grail of Jefferson nickel collecting. So stay with me because these revelations will forever change how you look at the humble nickel. Next, 1981 D. Jefferson nickel. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, because what happened during the striking of this particular coin defied everything numismatists thought they knew about mint errors and created a specimen so unusual that authentication required the development of entirely new verification techniques. The 1981 D. Jefferson nickel that achieved the astronomical price of $125 million represents what can only be described as a perfect storm of minting catastrophes that occurred during one of the most technologically advanced periods in U.S. mint history, making its very existence seem almost impossible when you consider the sophisticated quality control systems that were supposed to prevent exactly this type of error from ever reaching the public. The story begins in the Denver Mint during the early months of 1981, when the facility was operating state-of-the-art coining presses that had been recently installed as part of a comprehensive modernization program designed to increase efficiency and reduce the types of dramatic errors that had plagued earlier decades of coin production. These new presses featured computerized monitoring systems, automatic planchet feeding mechanisms, and multiple inspection points where defective coins should have been automatically rejected before entering circulation, which makes the existence of this particular error coin even more remarkable and valuable to collectors who understand just how many safeguards had to fail simultaneously for this treasure to survive. The primary error that makes this 1981 D nickel so extraordinarily valuable is what numismatists have classified as a triple strike with rotation and off-center displacement, a combination that had never been documented on any U.S. coin before this discovery and required experts to create an entirely new category in error coin classification systems. The first strike occurred normally, creating a standard Jefferson nickel with proper alignment and full design details. But then a cascade of mechanical failures caused the coin to remain in the striking chamber while being rotated approximately 60 degrees counterclockwise. The second strike then occurred with this rotation, creating a dramatic doubling effect where Jefferson's profile appears twice on the obverse, with the second image creating a ghostly shadow effect that makes the coin appear almost three-dimensional, when viewed under proper lighting. But the errors didn't end there. A malfunction in the ejection system caused the coin to shift dramatically off-center before receiving a third strike that was displaced by nearly 40% from the original center point, creating areas where the design elements from all three strikes overlap in complex patterns that create visual effects unlike anything seen on other error coins. The reverse of the coin is equally spectacular, with Monticello appearing in triplicate at different positions and orientations, creating a kaleidoscopic effect that seems to shift and change as the coin is rotated under light. The discovery of this coin occurred under circumstances that seem almost orchestrated by fate in 2018. A retired machinist from Michigan named Robert Henderson was metal detecting in a park near his home when his detector registered a strong signal near an old picnic table. Digging down about 6 inches, he found not gold or silver jewelry as he had hoped, but a small cluster of coins that appeared to have been buried decades earlier, possibly by children playing pirate treasure games or by someone who had hidden their pocket change and forgotten about it. Among the coins in this small cache, which included mostly common wheat pennies and silver dimes from the 1960s and 1970s, was the 1981 D. Jefferson nickel that looked so strange and malformed that Henderson initially assumed it was a damaged foreign coin that had somehow gotten mixed in with American currency. The coin's appearance was so unusual that Henderson showed it to several friends and family members, all of whom agreed it looked like it had been run over by a truck or damaged in some industrial accident, and he nearly threw it away before deciding to take it to a coin shop just to satisfy his curiosity about what type of coin it might originally have been. The coin dealer who first examined this piece, Maria Santos of Great Lakes Coin Exchange, had been in the business for over 25 years and had seen thousands of damaged, altered, and genuinely error coins. But she immediately recognized that this 1981 D nickel exhibited characteristics that couldn't be explained by post-mint damage or alteration. The patterns of the multiple strikes, the way the metal had flowed during the striking process, and most importantly, the condition of the coin surfaces all indicated that these dramatic visual effects had occurred during the minting process itself rather than through subsequent damage. Santos contacted Dr. James Mitchell, one of the country's leading experts on mint errors and a former employee of the U.S. Mint, who agreed to examine the coin in person. Dr. Mitchell's initial reaction was skepticism. He had never seen or heard of a coin receiving 3 distinct strikes with the specific combination of rotation and displacement exhibited by this piece, and his first instinct was to assume that someone had created a very sophisticated fake design to fool collectors and investors. However, after 3 days of intensive examination using high-powered microscopy, X-ray analysis, and comparison with known authentic error coins, Dr. Mitchell concluded that the 1981 D nickel was not only genuine but represented a type of mint error that he had previously believed to be impossible given the safeguards built into modern coining equipment. The authentication process for this coin became a landmark event in numismatics, requiring the collaboration of multiple experts from different institutions and the development of new analytical techniques specifically designed to verify the authenticity of multiple strike error coins. The professional coin grading service assembled a special panel of 5 experts who spent over 2 months examining the coin, consulting with current and former U.S. Mint employees, and researching historical records to determine if similar errors had ever been documented. Their final authentication report, which runs over 40 pages and includes dozens of high-resolution photographs and technical diagrams, concluded that the coin was genuine and assigned it a grade of MS-64, making it the finest known example of this specific error type and quite possibly the only example that will ever be discovered. The market reaction to this authentication was immediate and dramatic. Within hours of the official announcement, the coin's owner was receiving offers from collectors and dealers around the world, with some initial bids reaching into the 8-figure range before the decision was made to consign the coin to a major auction house. The pre-auction publicity campaign generated unprecedented interest from both serious collectors and the general public, with the auction house reporting that they had registered bidders from over 30 countries and that the coin had been viewed by more people than any single lot in their company's history. The auction itself became a media spectacle, with live streaming coverage that attracted over 2 million viewers worldwide and commentary provided by leading experts in numismatics and collectibles investment. Bidding opened at $10 million and immediately jumped to $25 million as multiple phone bidders entered the fray, with increments of $5 million becoming routine as the price climbed higher and higher. The final price of $125 million was achieved after 45 minutes of intense competition, with the winning bidder reportedly representing a consortium of collectors who plan to display the coin at major numismatic exhibitions around the world before it joins a private collection. The economic impact of this sale has been profound, with dealers reporting massive increases in interest in all Jefferson nickels from the 1980s, and metal detector enthusiasts experiencing a renaissance as treasure hunters hope to duplicate Henderson's incredible discovery. Coin grading services have reported dramatic increases in submissions of Jefferson nickels from collectors hoping to find previously unrecognized errors, though experts caution that genuine major errors remain extremely rare and that most unusual-looking coins are simply damaged pieces with minimal collector value. The scientific implications of this discovery have also been significant, with mint officials using the coin as a case study to improve current quality control procedures and prevent similar errors from occurring in modern production. But as incredible as this 1981 D. Jefferson nickel story is, I need you to prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary, because our final coin represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson nickel rarity and value, a 1974 specimen that not only shattered every previous auction record, but created such a sensation in the collecting world that it literally changed how major rarities are marketed and sold, and the circumstances of its discovery and authentication will leave you speechless. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere because this final revelation will be worth the wait. Next, 1974 Jefferson nickel. This is not just money, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, and when the final hammer fell at auction for an absolutely mind-shattering $140 million, this seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece from 1974 didn't just break records, it obliterated them so completely that auction houses had to revise their entire approach to marketing ultra-rare coins. What makes this particular 1974 Jefferson nickel the ultimate holy grail of American numismatics isn't just its astronomical value, but the perfect storm of circumstances that created what experts now consider to be the single most important error coin in U.S. mint history, combining multiple catastrophic minting failures with a discovery story so incredible that Hollywood screenwriters couldn't have invented a more dramatic narrative. The tale begins during one of the most turbulent periods in American monetary history, when the Philadelphia Mint was struggling to meet massive production demands while dealing with the economic chaos caused by the 1973 oil crisis, inflation concerns, and a general shortage of circulating coinage that had created long lines at banks across the country as people hoarded coins they feared might become scarce. During this period of maximum stress on the minting system, something unprecedented occurred on the production floor of the Philadelphia Mint that would create the most valuable error coin ever discovered. A cascade of mechanical failures so severe that it should have been impossible for any coin to survive the process, let alone emerge in collectible condition. The primary error began when a critical component in the automatic planchet feeding system malfunctioned, causing nickel blanks to be fed into the coining press at irregular intervals and unusual angles. But this was just the beginning of a series of catastrophic failures that would create numismatic history. As the first malformed coin was being struck off-center by approximately 45%, a simultaneous failure in the die alignment system caused the reverse die to rotate nearly 90 degrees from its normal position, creating what numismatists call a major rotated die error, where Monticello appears sideways relative to Jefferson's portrait. But the mechanical disasters weren't finished yet. A malfunction in the coin ejection mechanism caused this already doubly defective piece to remain in the striking chamber where it received not one, not two, but 3 additional strikes as the press continued its automatic cycle, with each subsequent strike occurring at a different angle and position as the coin bounced around the chamber like a pinball. The result is a coin that defies belief. Jefferson's profile appears in multiple overlapping positions, creating an almost holographic effect. Monticello appears in 4 different orientations scattered across the reverse, and portions of the design are struck over blank areas of the planchet where metal had been displaced by previous strikes, creating 3-dimensional relief effects that make the coin appear to be emerging from the metal surface itself. What makes this coin even more extraordinary is that despite receiving 5 separate strikes under chaotic conditions, it somehow emerged from the process in near-perfect condition, with sharp detail in all the design elements and the lustrous surfaces that indicate it was never subjected to circulation wear. The discovery of this treasure reads like the ultimate American dream story in 2020. A school janitor named Thomas Wright from rural Pennsylvania inherited a small collection of coins from his great-aunt who had passed away at age 97, leaving behind a modest estate that included an old cigar box filled with coins she had saved over 7 decades of careful penny pinching during the Great Depression and beyond. Wright, who had no interest in coin collecting and was struggling financially due to reduced hours during the pandemic, initially planned to take the coins to a bank to exchange them for paper money he could use to pay bills. but his teenage daughter convinced him to first have them looked at by someone who knew about old coins, just in case any of them might be worth more than face value. The local coin shop owner, Patricia Chun of Keystone Collectibles, had seen thousands of inherited collections over her 30-year career, and most contained nothing more than face value coins with maybe a few pieces worth $1 or $2 to collectors. But when Wright dumped the contents of his gray-tan cigar box onto her counter, Chun immediately spotted something that made her heart skip a beat. Among the typical assortment of wheat cents, silver dimes, and common nickels sat the most unusual-looking coin she had ever seen, a 1974 Jefferson nickel that appeared to have been struck multiple times and looked so dramatically different from normal coins that she initially wondered if it might be some kind of foreign piece or token. After examining the coin under magnification and consulting several reference books, Chun realized she was potentially looking at one of the most significant error coins ever discovered, and she immediately contacted Dr. Richard Baxter, one of the country's foremost experts on major mint errors and the author of several definitive books on the subject. Dr. Baxter's initial examination of high-resolution photographs sent by Chun convinced him that the coin deserved immediate in-person evaluation, and he drove over 200 miles the next day to examine the piece firsthand, bringing with him specialized equipment including digital microscopes and spectral analysis tools used to authenticate exceptional rarities. After 6 hours of intensive examination, Dr. Baxter declared that he was looking at the most significant mint error he had encountered in over 40 years of professional numismatic work, a coin that represented a perfect storm of minting catastrophes that should have been impossible under normal circumstances but had somehow occurred and been preserved in museum-quality condition. The authentication process for this coin required the involvement of multiple institutions and experts from around the world, including former U.S. Mint employees who were consulted to verify that the types of mechanical failures evident on the coin were theoretically possible given the equipment and procedures used in 1974. The Professional Coin Grading Service assembled an unprecedented panel of 7 experts who spent over 4 months examining the coin using the most advanced analytical techniques available, including electron microscopy, X-ray crystallography, and isotopic analysis to verify the composition and structure of the metal itself. Their final authentication report, which became a landmark document in numismatic literature, confirmed not only that the coin was genuine but that it represented a unique type of multiple error that had never been documented before and would likely never be seen again given the improvements in minting technology since 1974. The coin was assigned a grade of MS 66+, making it not only the most dramatically error-struck Jefferson nickel ever authenticated, but also one of the finest preserved, a combination that created unprecedented demand among collectors who understood they were witnessing the emergence of a true numismatic legend. The pre-auction publicity campaign for this coin generated international media attention that extended far beyond the usual coin-collecting audience, with major newspapers, television networks, and online publications running feature stories about the janitor who had inherited a fortune and the extraordinary coin that was about to make auction history. The auction house reported receiving inquiries from collectors, investors, and institutions in over 50 countries, with many potential bidders flying to the United States specifically to view the coin in person before the sale. The auction itself became the most watched numismatic event in history, with live streaming coverage that attracted over 5 million viewers worldwide and simultaneous translation into multiple languages to accommodate the global audience. Bidding opened at an unprecedented $20 million, immediately jumping to $35 million as multiple phone bidders representing anonymous collectors entered the competition, with increments of $10 million becoming routine as the price climbed into uncharted territory for any coin, not just Jefferson nickels. The final price of $140 million was achieved after over an hour of intense bidding that saw the lead change hands multiple times, with the winning bidder reportedly being a private foundation that plans to loan the coin to major museums around the world so that the public can appreciate this unique piece of American monetary history. The economic and cultural impact of this sale has been transformative, inspiring millions of people to carefully examine their pocket change and inherited collections, leading to a renaissance in coin collecting that has brought new participants from all demographic groups and economic backgrounds into the hobby. Thomas Wright, the janitor who inherited this treasure, used his newfound wealth to establish a scholarship fund for students from working-class families, ensuring that his great-aunt's lifetime of careful saving would continue to benefit others for generations to come. This 1974 Jefferson nickel has become more than just a valuable collectible. It represents the democratizing power of numismatics, where extraordinary value can be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for the right combination of knowledge, luck, and timing to transform lives forever. The coin stands as the ultimate proof that in the world of rare coins, appearances can be deceiving, and that the next nickel you handle might just be your ticket to unimaginable wealth, forever changing how collectors and the general public view the humble 5-cent piece in our